I'm giving out some assignments the other day, and this is the way I perceived the conversation. Hey guys, we have a lot of messaging points that we really need to kind of solidify and get organized. And I think what we should do is come up with, I don't know, 3 to 7 like main talking points and put them on a mailer or maybe draft a TV script or something so that we can really see them in writing in some sort of form, and it'll allow us to kind of go back and rehash it. Now, that's pretty much what I said. Here's how it was interpreted after I walked out of the room. We have to do 3 TV scripts. What? That's not what we talked about at all, according to me. But I made a mistake. I wasn't an active communicator. So let's get into it. I was thinking about the fact that people don't actively listen. And I bet if you were in high school or if you were born at all, you've heard about this term called active listening. Well, active listening is supposed to be this concept that you as the listener should be responsible for consuming all the information that's out there and taking it and doing something with it. And that is a ridiculous proposition. In fact, I was kind of curious and a little bored, and I started looking at all the types of listening that's out there. And you start to see there are 4 types of listening. No, there's 5, there's 8, there's 10, there's 12, there's 7, and it's all crazy. But I would kind of hone it down to really there's 2, well, I'm going to say 3 actually. Jackson, I'm going to say 3 types. There's 3 types of listening. Active listening, and the only people you can really count on to be an active listener are students, because they better write down and regurgitate this information so that they can get a good grade on a test. And you hope your employees, the people that report to you, are active listening, because their salaries and their reviews are all based on that. So everyone else is busy and consumed with information. They're getting information left, right, sideways, up, down. There was a recent study, years ago, was you get 10,000 messages sent to you daily. Now they think it's 15,000, and you think, commercials and billboards and social media and digital ads and people talking to you really cultivates, and most of it's just background noise and white noise. So the fact that we want people to be active listeners is a really unrealistic concept, because how often are you an active listener? I mean, how many times have you met somebody, you're paying attention, you're at a restaurant, you're at a civic event, and they give you their name, and you turn around and you went, what was that name again? And you want to remember, but you have too much stuff coming at you and you forgot. It happens, man. Don't beat yourself up. Write their names down on your wrist or something like that. I don't know. The other type of listening is what I'll call empathetic listening, and it's really, men have this deal where we want to solve problems, right? We want to resolve issues and we want to get in there and tinker with stuff. But sometimes people just want you to listen. They want to vent. They want to get it out. And you're supposed to empathize with them, not try to fix their issues. I've been working on empathetic listening my entire life. I am not done yet. I'm still working on it. So empathy would be somebody's upset, somebody's sad. They don't want you to resolve the problem. They just need to be heard out. So empathy's good. And great tip. You don't have to really pay attention to be an empathetic listener. It's true. You just got to do this a lot. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about either, right? And then the third type is not listening at all, which often occurs. But really, let's get into what I will call being an active communicator. So who is responsible in a communication between individuals or a team and a group? I believe it's the communicator's responsibility. If the communicator takes responsibility for the act of communicating well, it kind of washes out whether or not a person's in an active listening mode, empathetic, or just not paying attention, or maybe they got the information and they lost it before they did something with it. So I've got a few tips to help you become an active communicator. So tip number 1. First, you've got to assume that people are busy. It's not that they don't necessarily care. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they have a distraction. They got another issue. They have this whole life that's not about you. I know that's shocking. I know that probably upset you. How dare they have a life outside of you? But often we're communicating and somebody's distracted because they have a family issue or another work issue or something else. And you just got to assume that they're going to have a hard time consuming the information. If you start with that premise that you're not the center of the universe, you're going to start to communicate a little bit better. So tip number 2. Tip number 2 is all about repetition. And I know I repeat too much, but I'm trying and working to be an active communicator, and the act of repeating something is a good way to reinforce not just for their benefit, but for yours too. Oftentimes you'll say something and you'll repeat it a little bit differently as you're trying to get clarity on what you really want to convey and have them walk away with. So a little repetition is not necessarily a bad thing, and you could go too far, but there's an overrule in marketing communications, right? It's reach and frequency, reach and frequency. And frequency is this repetitive motion. And there's a lot of studies out there that say you won't even see a TV commercial, for instance, the first 6-7 times it's aired. It just washes over you and you don't even pick it up. And then it's after it starts to be over and over and over again that you start to pay attention. And there's another overrule in giving a political speech, or any speech really. It's when you're sick of giving the speech, when you're tired of talking about it, it's the first time they started listening. And it's really to try to teach us that you have to be repetitive and you have to be over and over and over to get that out. So I know it's exhausting. It'll help you be a more active communicator. So let's get into the next one. Number 3 is all about getting somebody to repeat back their understanding of an event. Now, I'm not talking about like, tell me exactly what I asked you to do. I'm saying, hey, I've conveyed some information. You're coming at the world the way you're coming at it. I'm coming at it the way I am. I want to make sure I was really clear with you. I want to make sure that you got what I needed. Can you repeat back to me your understanding? And so in my earlier example, what I should have done after I said, I don't know exactly what to do. I do this a lot. I don't know lots of stuff all the time. I should have said, I need 3 to 7 talking points, and I don't care really what format you put them in, if it's a TV script or a mailer or email blast, something just visibly for us to read it and understand it. And sometimes that act of drafting, like we call it storyboards, will help you get better clarity. What I should have done, but I didn't do it, was, hey, repeat back to me just to make sure that I'm communicating well, what your understanding of that is. And I'm telling you what, you're going to do that. And almost every single time, it is not what you meant. It is just not what you meant. Now, maybe that's because you weren't clear, but maybe that's because they weren't actively listening. But either way, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's not about fault. It's not about blame. It's about trying to get a clear understanding of each other. I don't do it enough. And I'm trying to encourage my team to do it more, and our clients and our clients and customers to do it more with their teams too. So we do a lot of customer service training and media training, and trying to get this repetitive nature of, what was your takeaway? What did you understand? And they're going to repeat back, man, I'm really glad. Thank you for repeating it back. Not quite what I meant. Convey it again. Get them to repeat it back again and go, man, I'm really glad that we connected. Now, that feels really hippie to me. I'm an old soldier. I don't want to do it, but man, it works. And that's an awesome tip. And it's not about being condescending. It's not assuming they didn't get it. It's assuming that you didn't communicate well. So it's all about you controlling your controllables and not trying to assume that other people got your information. So tip number 4 is break it up into smaller chunks, smaller bites that people can digest. And what I mean is, people are overwhelmed right now with communications. We already talked about this, like 15,000 potential messages a day coming at you. And I know what you've got is important. I know what you want to talk about is awesome to you, not to them. And I remember I was prepping a guy to go deliver some messaging points to the governor in our state here of Tennessee. And this was years ago. And he sat down and he had all these things. And I was like, oh my God, how long do you have with the governor? You had 27 points on this paper with subsets, and he was organized, he was clear, he had a handout for the governor. It was awesome, it was bound, it was color-coded. And I said, how long you got? He goes, 15 minutes. And I go, best thing you can do is say nothing. Just stare at the governor and ask the governor what you could do for him. Because he's not going to remember any of that stuff. He got dozens and dozens of 15-minute long meetings. He needs a direct ask. He needs everything to be really clear and really simple. They're overwhelmed, just like you're overwhelmed. Just like when somebody's conveying information to you, flies away. So when I mean keep it simple, we use what we've developed is a 3-2-1 message system. 3 talking points max, 3 asks, 3 tasks at a time, 3. Because that's about the maximum number that regular people like me can consume information where they either have to use it or they're going to lose it. If you give them 7 or 8 or 12 messaging points, they're not going to remember most of them. Right? Now, once again, we're not talking about students. We're not talking about your team who's kind of like responsible because they get graded or get salaries and things like that. But even with them, even with your teammates, it's better to give them bite-sized chunks that they can consume if you really want them to get that information, right? And the 2-1, so 3 message points of no more than 21 words each, and that's kind of a soundbite. 14 seconds is about a soundbite. That's about 21 words. If you're in the South, if you're in the North, maybe you get 28 words in those 14 seconds. We talk a little slower down here. So when we talk about these 4 things, really the most important is to assume that people are busy and give them a break, right? Just like you want people to give you a break. And you're going to have to be a little repetitive. Just get ready for it. Ask them to repeat back their understanding. I'm going to work on that myself. Jackson, keep reminding me, dude. And then don't overwhelm them. Small bites, no matter how important it is to you, realize they got other issues going on. If you want them to remember the main thing, remember it's a main thing. And the main thing can be one thing. I said 3 because I think people are a little smarter than just consume 1. But look, I hope this helps. And I really want you to work on being an active communicator, just like I'm trying to. And good luck out there. And don't forget, ding and bell and subscribe and whatever the heck people do on these things. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.